Hi everyone, welcome to week 34 of A Grid Design Every Week. This week we're going to branch out a little bit and instead of just doing a design in one block, we're actually going to encompass a 3x3 grid, so a 9-block area, and do some neat design. It's kind of like our basket weave but with a little spin on it. So come on over and I'll show you how we do it. So I'm just going to call this one Basketweave 9-patch, but what I want you to think about is a 3x3 inch area is what we're going to be working in. So here I'll draw it out. There's our 3x3 block, so you can see it's like a 9-patch. So we're going to just fill in 2 of these, like this. And when we get up here, we want to fill in this area. And then here we're going to do 2. See how we're going to fill in 2 every time? But what we're going to do is leave this middle one empty. And that's going to look really pretty because that's going to kind of puff up and give us some dimension. And then down here we'll fill this one in. Now when we get down to our next row, we're simply going to do 2 blocks again. Just like we did. And then go up here. I like to fill that all the way. And can encompass 2 of those grid blocks. And complete it like that. Alright, so that's how we're going to do it. So it's going to give us a nice basket weave appearance, and then these little empty blocks are going to puff up and look very nice. So let me show you how we quilt that. What I've done, it's going to be a little hard for you to see. I'm going to show you on this light blue fabric, and then I've also done it on some other colored fabrics, so you can see how it looks with matching thread and with non-matching thread. I actually like it with matching thread because then you see the dimension more than the thread. So I'm going to start up here in this top corner, and you can see it's hard for you to see my little blue lines, but it's a 1/2 inch grid, and I've done 3, 3, 3, and then I've gone ahead and quilted those boundary lines in. Alright, so we're going to start up here. And I'm going to, let's see, which way do I want to do that? We'll just fill in this block, or the 2 blocks, and I realize you're going to really have a hard time seeing my little 1/2 inch grid marks. Heck, I even have a hard time seeing them. Blue on blue is a little difficult. I guess I should have picked white fabric or pink or something, but you'll be able to see at the end how it looks. So we're filling in 2 here. Now you want to fill these double squares completely. Get down here. I like to quilt right on that grid line for that first line, and that really sets that the border nicely for the area that you're quilting in. And here we go. I'm going to go ahead and quilt up on this grid line. Now you may remember our basket weave was much more angular. This I'm just sort of filling in with lines, and they're curved on the ends, but that's okay. Alright, so now we're down in our next area. So I'm going to fill in these 2. I'm going to do it exactly like the square above. The one up in our the first one we did up above. So it's going to do encompass 2 of our grid blocks. Now here I'm going to travel up that grid line because I want to make sure I have a straight grid line. To give us that nice crisp look. Get rid of that little string. So you can see I'm really filling up these areas. Okay, quilt right up that grid line. I've got a 1/2 inch grid here, but this looks really nice with a 1-inch grid on larger quilts. Again, this is a very, to me, it's like a modern quilting design. It's going to look really nice on modern quilts with all that negative space that you need to fill in with beautiful quilting. Alright, let's turn this around a little bit so you can see. You can see already how those unquilted areas are really puffing up. So now is going to be the big question. How do we start our next row of squares? Well, we're just going to do these first 2 just like before. So because I've pre-quilted these little lines for every 9 grid blocks, you can really keep track of where you're at, and that's helpful. So it's a little bit of preparation work, but in the long run it's going to be beneficial to you and help you from getting confused about where you need to keep your design. And again, I would suggest not doing blue on blue. It's a little bit hard to see my blue grid lines. Alright, so here we've got our last one. Alright, so you can see I've ended up, it would have been best if I could end up there, but the way we started, it didn't get me there, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that next block. Just like all the rest. Essentially, every block will be identical to the previous one. Yeah, I really love this design with matching thread, because then you just see the quilting and not the thread. And I'll show you the back on another piece I did where it's black fabric and green thread, and really all you see is the thread and not so much the negative space. Alright, so here we are in the corner. It's going to be, alright, where do we need to go from here? Well, let's just get over to that square. And we're going to go ahead and fill that in. Let me just do one more so I can show you, take it out. I'm going to do this one. I'm going to travel over to this spot. You guys getting hypnotized watching me? Sometimes I get hypnotized doing these things. You just sort of, once you get your groove, get into your groove, they're just very relaxing. But you do have to pay attention or you can make mistakes. But I do enjoy doing grid designs. They're quite relaxing. All right, let's take that out. And you can really see that light blue thread on the light blue fabric, even though we see our little blue grid lines a little bit. See that negative space that's unquilted. Let me get rid of that. It's just beautiful. So let's turn it over. And the bobbin I had light green thread, but we're still going to get that pretty, the negative space effect of our, where we didn't quilt. And you can see that basket weave pattern is consistent and it's very pretty. So let me show you what it looks if you don't, what it looks like if you don't match your thread. Let's see, where was that? Okay, so here's a big area, and even though it's pretty, you don't see the negative space, that dimension, as much as with matching thread. You see more of the thread, the design, and not the negative space. So I do like to match threads, but this is pretty too. So anyways, that's a little something different for you guys to work in a 3x3 grid area. So practice that again, draw it out on grid paper first. That's going to help set it in your mind and get your hand-eye coordination going so that you can stitch it on your machine. So thanks for joining me. I appreciate it, and I hope you'll check out my website, quintessentialquilting.com, and don't forget my book, The Grid Design Workbook. Thanks. I'll see you next week. Bye.